You see the title there, right there on your screen. Life become easier when you know how to fight and deal with white supremacy. We know here that white supremacy is in crisis right now. There's a lot of wars going on, as you know, and there's a lot of basically problems that the United States, the West, is facing right now. But there's always that problem with black men and their disloyalty among each other. Basically, fighting over and killing each other, of course, what we used to do, or we still do, over the white man's paper money. And we have to understand about dealing with issues and dealing with problems that we face, obstacles as black men in America. But our own disloyalty is basically what I want to deal with here today. I want to talk there about this. We saw it from back in our past. We saw it during slavery with Reverend Nat Turner. We saw it during the civil rights movement with Dr. King and Malcolm X. We saw it, of course, with Louis Farrakhan and Dr. Khalid Muhammad. And we keep seeing it also within our own inner circles, talking there about black male disloyalty, how we are not loyal to ourselves. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe here. You're listening to the Lawyers and Podcast show on this great Sunday morning, or afternoon, I should say. This lovely Atlanta weather. And but we're basically live here. We're live. We're basically wanting you to like, share, subscribe, and ask you for a donation there. The Cash App is there. You can basically contribute to the podcast. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be again taking phone calls, soon. Just trying to get the phone system set up, but we are back. Remember, I was on a hiatus for almost 9 months to a year, man. I mean, Screw 2 was like, hey, if you don't basically say something or come back, then you're going to lose your channel. I said, oh, I can't do that because my fight, against white supremacy is ongoing. Okay. So I want to thank you all for joining me today here on the Lawyers and Podcast show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe the content. Leave your comments as well. Love to hear from you. And you can also email me there, if you want to hear a topic that you want me to discuss or to investigate. Let the Lawyers and Podcast show know. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the disloyalty between black men. And the disloyalty between black men is a problem now in the United States. Okay? We have a huge problem where black men have been coming out here and they have been looking to destroy each other here. They have been looking to basically try to get in good with the white supremacists, and they have been looking for ways to try to even actually go out and turn it back on black women and other, and try to say that, well, black women have been doing this to us. They've been doing things. Well, your women are only going to react in a way until which you react as well. Okay. Your women are going to react in such a way if they don't see strong male leadership and they don't see that you basically can protect them under the system of white supremacy, they're going to be loyal to the other side. Okay. But see, when you're a black man who knows how to fight white supremacy, that's a very, very different thing. Okay. That is a very, very different thing. Now, Screw 2 don't like when you talk like this. And so they don't like it. They like the integrationists who come over here and talk about black power, but has a white girlfriend. Black power, but have an Asian girlfriend or a Latino girlfriend. These people who we're fighting, they got the woman on their arm talking about black power. Okay. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about black male disloyalty. Black male disloyalty is often a problem under the system of white supremacy. You understand? A black man out here talking about black power, black power, black power, and have a white girlfriend or an Asian girlfriend, that basically defeats the purpose of you raising your fix up high. Okay? That's foolish and it's ignorant. You cannot basically have the white man's woman on your arm talking about black power. Sort of remind me of David Chappelle out here with an Asian wife. And he's on shows wearing black power t-shirts. Okay? And we have to call this out among the black community, because these are the people who black folks be falling for a lot of crazy crap out here. Okay? They be falling for the trap of a black man or a black woman who is dating outside their race, and they're contributing heavily to these people to keep this integrationist lie alive. Okay? To misconstrue Dr. King's message and other messages in a sense of dealing with how do we deal with our struggle when we cannot basically deal with our own women. You understand? And so now we have this huge problem now in the black community of black male disloyalty. Okay? Now, if you look at all of the things that we have going on among black male disloyalty, you will see that we basically will see a group of black men who are loyalty, let's say, to playing a football game, loyalty to going out playing professional sports, loyalty when there's a white male coach and black players. You got to see, you understand, we have not basically, risen to the fact that everywhere we go, it's like, why can black men do things independently without white men and other races having to be the person that basically come in to organize things for us? The NFL, where you have mostly black men, playing football, basically white man is the one who organizes it and they're making all the money. They're the coaches, they're the owners and things of that nature. Black men are the players. And yet you can't get them to basically start their own league. You can't get them to basically come together and build an economic system. You see, these are the type of disloyalty that's in the United States. Okay, the Western culture, disloyalty. We have also in the continent the same problem. Disloyalty among certain African nations and African leaders and so on and so forth, the disconnect between them and the people that they're supposed to be governing. And we heard all of our leaders in the past about this. We heard that black male disloyalty is a problem in the United States. Okay? It's a problem in the Western society as a whole. And we also have that black disloyalty, of course, in the job market, the job sector. Oh man, how many of black men have told on other black men in the job market or in the employment, running to white daddy, and white mommy. Oh, yeah, Derek, boss he forgot to turn in all of the reports last week. And I'm just here to tell you, boss, we got all these types of things that we can do to start our own businesses, to develop and things. And yet we're working with Uncle Sam and to make sure that his money is straight. And then yet go out there, we can't even scrape up 2 nickels for the community, you see. So this discussion of black male disloyalty is important, okay? Now let's leave the black woman out of this for a minute. Let's leave the black woman out of this minute, okay? Because your women are going to be loyalty to the men who give them their cars, their houses, their jobs, their economic system, their food, so on and so forth. Okay. So, but when we look there at black male disloyalty on the job market, it's insane. Okay. Ratting out another black person just because you're trying to get good within these white folks. Okay. Running back, telling the master. See, this is no different than what we did in slavery. Mm-hmm. We did the same thing in slavery. Black people have not changed one iota. Same thing we did in slavery. Running and telling. Look at, Derek over there. I gotta go tell master. On him, he's messing up. He's not mopping the floor real good. Things of that nature. Running back and telling the white supremacists on us. But see, you have to understand that there is a different scenario that we should start to basically consider. And that is that if we can challenge white supremacy more, then our lives as black men will be a little bit better. Okay? And this is the ongoing conversation I want to talk about here on the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. Get those thumbs up. Get them up. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Get the thumbs up. Okay? Now going back to the conversation. Okay? I think that if black men challenge white men more better, okay, you can say, well, we're outnumbered, we're outgunned, we're this, that, we're not talking about a revolution right now. Most black people are not ready for that. What I'm talking about is to basically come up with a way until which we don't include these people on everything we do. Okay? We don't get their approval on everything we do. We like to advertise our ideals, and black people are basically bad at doing that. Advertising their ideals, advertising what they're trying to do, putting their goals and their desires and wants and advertising it to the world, and it sounds good. Okay? It does sound good for you to have goals and dreams and aspirations. And then you basically go share it with another black person, and that black person is going to do two things. They're either going to say, well, it's a good idea, but you need a lot of money to do that. It reminds you of your family. Every time you go over your family house, you might have somebody in the around there who say, I'm going to open up my own business. I'm going to basically open up my own business. I'm going to create this. I'm going to create that. And then I'm going to try to basically build a huge business and hire a lot of people. And then I'm going to go and take a vacation, things of that nature. How many times that you got somebody within the black community, the black family who stays quiet, because basically when you have a conversation with your family, it's about where you work. Families tend not to like black entrepreneurs, But if you have a conversation that, hey, basically you're out there working for white folks, your family like, oh yeah, you still work over there at Walmart? Yeah, I still work at Walmart. And then another family member, oh yeah, you still work over there at the Office Depot? Yeah, I still work over there. Yeah, But if you tell your family that basically you want to start your business, everybody gets quiet in the black family. Why is that? The reason why is because they don't believe that black people or black men or black folks in general should have money and power. You know what I'm saying? How many times that you basically told your family your dreams and aspirations, and you heard, and you basically was sitting there and they stay quiet. Remember, what I'm saying? They looking at you like, how dare you go out there and try to challenge white daddy, you know. And so therefore, there is a difference between how that situation, that's loyalty to the white supremacists is ongoing. Okay. Now we know that we cannot get a business loans and stuff like that. We know that other races, yes, it's coming over and they're taking all of the money. They're taking all of the economics, structure, businesses, and they got the development. They're able to basically get money for businesses and loans and grants from this system. But see, if black people and black men in general would not be disloyal, then we're able to do what we did in the 1920s and 40s and put our monies together, create a credit union. Back in the 1920s and 40s, remember, black people created a credit union or unions to finance their businesses. They didn't have to go to a white bank. Black people were able to create credit unions. $500 back in 1920s and 40s, that was a lot of money, right? But they were able to build these credit unions up, and then they financed. Black people came together, let's say North Carolina, South Carolina, I think it was, and they financed their own businesses through the credit unions. But right now, we got these black banks, or so-called black banks, that basically is acting like the white banks. Oh, you need this collateral, stuff like that. And as Amos Wilson taught us, there's no such thing as a black bank. That banks retard black economic progress. How many times did you go to these banks and basically when you open up a personal account, they got all of these overdraft fees, $34 here and there that they're charging you. And yet you can't even get a $1,000 loan from them. You see, banks is not where it is at. Okay? Do not let black people convince you that by them starting a bank, that's going to basically be something good. I'm not saying that it's not a good idea. What I'm saying is that banks have too much regulation. But a credit union, you are basically, even though they're regulated too, but they have more power because the owners are the members of the credit union, are the owners. Okay, so a credit union will be more better. But because of so much black disloyalty and black men disloyalty, if we sit down and organize something, it's going to be like, no, we're going to need white daddy to help us out, and blah, 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 blah. You understand? So that's how you basically have to look at it. How does 43 million people in the United States, black people in the United States, and yet the black community basically doesn't have a real economic system, okay? And so now we have waited so long that we got all of these illegal immigrants over here in the country. Okay. Now it's good that we basically checking these immigrants. So, right now, it's good that we're doing that to these immigrants. It's good that they're basically getting ICE rated out of this nation. That's good. That's good. But what happens when you get another Democrat back in office who basically let them back in? You see, what happens there? Nobody could tell you what black people can do when these folks are getting all of the benefits again. They're getting all of the welfare payments. They're getting all of the jobs and stuff like that. See, we already know that white people messed up already. Okay, let's put that to the side. See, white folks thought that if we don't give black people reparations, that we can continue to basically do this and we can continue to do that. You see what I'm saying? Nah, that is not going to happen consistently and forever, okay? Because what white people didn't recognize, they didn't learn from the first Great Depression. The first Great Depression, white people did not learn that the system is not going to continue to repeat itself. You see, it's not going to continue to basically that you have one Great Depression, you got over it, and then you keep having a Great Depression or economic problems and stuff like that, and you're going to always change it around. You see? But here's the problem. Here's the thing. This time around, there is an issue of fixing the economic system. Because not only internally and externally we're dealing with economic problems, but let's go out to see the people who are challenging the United States and the Western societies now. Okay? Nobody is afraid of America no more. Countries and the world are not afraid of the United States. You see, during the Great Depression, the first Great Depression in the 1920s, many of y'all, by the way, don't realize or forget that FDR got 3 terms. And I told y'all, do not be shocked if they allow Trump to run again. Okay? You heard it from me first. So in order to fix the economic system, not only did he get 3 terms, I believe, but it took a very long time for the economic system to come around, didn't it? It took very long for the jobs to start coming back, you see. And then you had other types of economic problems and calamity after that, of course. Okay. And so now when you fast forward, look at all of the business and stuff like that, now people are just, being cutthroat. They're just firing you for any old kind of reason. You got, like I said, disloyalty, and it's not just black men, black men. Black women are doing the same thing to each other. White folks are doing the same thing to each other. Asian people are doing the same thing to each other. Hispanic people are doing the same thing to each other. And everybody is just being cutthroat right now because they're in a survival mode right now. Everybody losing their jobs and businesses are closing down. And regardless of whether or not, if you want to say it's because of AI or it's because of this or that or whatever, regardless of what the issue is, why they're closing down, the fact of the matter is that we are being cutthroat with each other. Nobody basically wants to say, hey, how can we fix this economy? How can we fix the job market? How can we fix the business? How could we basically, go out and be a community again? All of that is over, especially among us in the Black community, because we have let too many people in the community, and they basically now has gentrified us out. And then we get Black male politicians and Black female politicians that sell us out in the community. They became so disloyalty to the Black community that now everything, like I said, is getting worse. I'm telling you, this cutthroat is serious. But the disloyalty among Black men is out of control. Okay? And so now you see an increase, of course, of now they're trying to put more Black women in prison. You're seeing a lot of issues with all of these people that are turning their backs up on us, thinking that they can come over to our country, the country that Black people built, and take all of the crumbs and stuff that white daddy and white mama are giving them. You see, when the borders was open during the Joe Biden administration, they didn't realize that the economic system was changing. They thought that America was going to continue to evolve into this global superpower. Okay? No. Okay? We have came really to the end of the United States being a global power. The superpower thing is up for the United States. And that's how it had worked for so long, because Black men have been more loyal to white men. They have not been loyal to each other. And so, of course, you could say, well, Black women have been loyal to white men. That's true. But who has been the bigger assistant to white men? It has always been black men. Other races basically had tried to come over here and they say, hey, no, no, illegal immigrants. No, 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 white daddy. White mommy. Okay. We can be more loyal than these black folks are, right? We can be more loyal than these black folks are. Just look at the immigrants now. They basically are out here raising their own flags in the United States and talking about, yeah, I'm a Dominican this, and I'm Haitian that, and I'm Latino this, and I belong in whatever country, Mexico or whatever they're coming from, Venezuela, and yet they're on the news crying every time ISIS tell them they have to go back home. You're raising up a flag and say you love your country, and yet you're over here in another country and refuse to go back to it. You see what I'm saying? See, these illegal immigrants, or immigrants in general, they are basically hypocrites, okay? But they also know that black people are not really on the same level. Now, we're getting there, because we basically is saying now, you immigrants, y'all are on your own. And that's good. It took us a long time, but that's good. It's still a somewhat progress. But you still have to deal with the variety of the problem. And that is, like I said, disloyalty. Okay? Disloyalty among black men, disloyalty among black women. And everybody is trying to impress white daddy and white mama. And so you have, of course, these immigrants, like I said, coming over here, as I told you, go back and look at my commentary on a lot of the movies that Jordan Peele did. Remember my commentary on the movie Get Out and the other movie that he did, where the family tried to take the soul of the other family, the American family. And if you look at the two commentaries that I did on that, the second movie he did, it will come to me in a minute. But the second movie he did, I think it's Us. I think it was. I don't know the second movie. But remember, these folks, this family, tried to come and represent themselves as people who can come over here and embodied, and they can come over and do the things that they basically are trying to get white people to believe that they can do better than black folks who have been born into the country, who basically know how America is, right? And so the movie Us was about them trying to take the soul of black people in the United States. Them trying to tell white mommy and white daddy, no, we can do better than these Negroes in here. You just give us the opportunity. You see, these Negroes, they're disloyalty to you, slave master. Even though the truth is that black people are disloyalty to each other, not to white folks, okay? But the tethers and the immigrants will try to convince white folks that black people are disloyal to them, okay? Now we look here at the problems that I told you about regarding black men not being able to come together and build up a community that is going to financially and economically help us, you see, in the future, okay? Because white folks, their numbers are dwindling. White people basically, you have, like I said, by 2045, 2050, man, these folks are not having children. They are basically shrinking, not only in just the Western society in the United States, but globally. They are already a minority in the world. Okay, so they're going to shrink to about 5 or 6% by 2050. Okay, and so what you have to understand, if Why, if black people were disloyalty while white people were in control, won't see nothing yet when you start to see that if the Asians, which I think is going to be trying to rule the world here next, you'll see that black people will be even more disloyal to each other when the Asians basically come into power. Because, of course, as Amos Wilson taught us, the Asians don't have a constitution. They don't have a liberal philosophy. Okay? White people have a liberal philosophy that they try to protect. Asians and Chinese people don't. They don't believe in democracy. you know, they don't believe in all that stupid stuff. They're going to let you know, listen, you're not going to come over here and protest some type of lesbian rights on me. They're going to let you know that. So you're talking about a situation here where the increase of disloyalty among black people, that's the issue that we have to talk about moreover. See, once you get the issue of disloyalty out the way, not only just among black men and black women, but as a group, as a whole, okay, the immigrants are going to have to basically decide whose side they're on, or they have to be sent back to their country. And we're sending, of course, a lot of them back. But I think what they're telling them behind closed doors is, just wait till a white liberal get back in there. And we're going to make sure you come right on back over there. Because if you look at all of the politicians and stuff like that, they're really are really trying to get the Democrats back in office. Okay? So now, black men, I tell you, and hear me out, once the liberals get back in office, okay, black men, listen to me. We basically cannot continue disloyalty, okay? Because as one person has already taught us, we are all we got. And once the liberals get back in office, we are done. Okay? Because their whole mind is made up. Their mind is made up to put these immigrants and replace them into these jobs, of course. Their mind is made up to basically put all these folks over us as black people. And now that we are a permanent underclass, not only because of our own problems and issues and disloyalty among each other, but the black immigrants who basically have become so loyal to white daddy and white mommy. We were looking at, of course, the Somalia situation there in Massachusetts. Is it Minnesota? Yeah, I'm sorry, Minnesota. Look at their situation there. The Somalians think that they are Arabs, okay? And so that's what I'm talking about. Immigrants are also disloyal to the black community. But as soon as white daddy come knocking at the door, okay, and ready to get them out of here, as soon as this ICE show up, oh no, we're black, we're black, we're black, we're black, we're black, okay? Okay. You see, that's what I'm talking about. Disloyalty, okay? Every immigrant should be kissing the feet of black Americans right now. And I'm talking about every illegal immigrant and immigrants in general. I don't care if you got over here 40 years ago, okay? As an immigrant, you should be kissing the floor that black folks walk on, because it was black people who paved the way for other people to come over to the United States, okay? Now, black people may not be loyal to each other. In fact, black people are more loyal to other races than they are to each other. And they have been so for a very, very long time during the slavery, during Jim Crow, okay, during the, of course, the civil rights movement. I forgot Reconstruction. Yeah, all of these, all of these eras, black people basically was loyal to other people, especially white folks, during these times. Okay, and that's what I want to come over here and talking about that disloyalty, that's among so many black men. Black women, of course, are disloyal too. And so they're thinking out here, of course, that they can get in good with white daddy and all this stuff. It's not going to work. Okay. The economic system that the United States had is not coming back. Okay. We'll talk about that next Wednesday or Thursday. No, Wednesday. We'll talk about it Wednesday, where the jobs and stuff is not coming back to the United States. America is becoming a service industry, whereby all of your tech jobs and all your huge, your big jobs where you have people doing marketing, sitting at home doing remote jobs, those are leaving. Okay, your bigger computer jobs and high profile jobs, those jobs are not coming back to the United States at all. Okay, the United States is no longer going to be the economic engine when it comes to those types of jobs. Like a lot of people said, well, we applied to 3,000 jobs and still we have no interview. That's because they're not going to come back. America is not wanting to basically pay a large sum of money to you as you get more experience and gain more experience in the job market. Okay. And it all started because of disloyalty. Okay. And so now that you don't have any type of money flowing into the markets, then people, like I said, it's being cutthroat right now. And then have you noticed that they're bringing in all these crazy Karen white women in? They're bringing these crazy, idiotic white men into these jobs, and they're going around along with their black collaborator flunkies, and they're firing everybody. Okay, they're justified talking about that they are not bringing in more money. Now, a lot of these companies are basically having profits, but they're still getting rid of most of their workforce. Okay, so you have to understand that the era of high-paying jobs are no more. Okay, and that's why a lot of people are being disloyal to each other now. Okay, but specifically, I wanted to talk about black men being disloyal to each other, because we know as men we're supposed to be providers. We're supposed to be out doing something economically with each other. Okay, the only way that we're going to basically survive is to remove and reverse that disloyalty and to come up with an economic way or different way to basically replace the system that we have now, this capitalistic society that's losing their jobs because people are not spending it and stuff like that. So we have to come up with a different economic idea. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But we first have to deal and discuss the disloyalty among us as black men and black women. Once you discuss the disloyalty, you say, okay, we got these immigrants who are basically over here and they're getting all of the crumbs that white mommy and white daddy got now. They're getting the business loans. They get all this old stuff. We don't have enough time for a black man and a black woman who are in these interracial dating and marriages to try to dictate the future. We cannot allow that, okay? If you don't have a black man or a black woman as a spouse, you cannot talk about the black struggle, okay? because your ideal of basically trying to get an economic system going is multiculturalism. Okay. And I told you in other arenas that if multiculturalism was a real thing, then where is the multicultural partnerships and business relationships? You don't have it. Okay. And Black people are the only people who believe in integrating and interracial societies. Okay. And they basically believe this because they want to so bad want to be accepted by white mommy and white daddy and all these other races who don't give a damn about them. Okay. Once you basically start to understand the loyalty with each other, then we can basically deal with our economic system, build up our own economic system, and then control that system. And then continue to work with ICE and others to get these illegal immigrants up out of our neighborhoods and our communities. They don't belong here. They never was here before, you know. They basically belong in their own community. Go back to their own homeland and fix it up. And these immigrants had the nerves to say, well, you Black folks, y'all gonna get deported as well. Just wait, you know, idiotic. These people are foolish. Black people cannot be deported. Okay. Okay. Number one, the economic system will collapse automatically once a Black person leaves the United States. For every Black person that leaves the United States, especially Black men, because white people still deal with us like slaves, for every Black person that leaves America or the Western society, that is $150,000 that is estimated to be taken away from the economic system. Okay? So they basically don't care that an immigrant is leaving, because the immigrant is all he and she is doing is going to send that money back, the remittance back to their own country. And Venezuela and all these other countries that they go back to give those monies to, where they transfer the currency back into their native dollars. Okay? Black people only cannot do that. I mean, even though they can get currency transferred, but they still have to come back to the United States unless they stay in another country. But here's the thing. We as Black people, for the most part, is the economic engine for the United States, the Western world, okay? And we have been making white men look real good for the past 250 years, okay? And so now that we basically are saying, you know what? We don't need to be basically allowing these illegal immigrants in our country no more. What we should be doing is focusing on each other. And no, voting for Kamala Harris was not going to do it. Okay. I told you, no Black person cannot lead with no white person on their arm. Okay. And so even though that she was running for the president of the United States, it's still a symbolic gestures to the Black community, regardless. Okay. It's no different than a Black man, and he is the CEO of a major company, and he has an Asian wife. It is not going to work. And I told you here that a lot of Black people who believe in this type of integration society and stuff, I'm telling you, they are the biggest problem in the United States when it comes to Black people. Okay? We cannot allow other people to basically feed off us anymore. We're done with that. No more feeding off of Black people. Okay? The Black women and Black men have to come together, build up their own economic system, and then to make sure that basically in the United States is set. And then if we have other money left over, I don't know, Javier and Maria and all these other people probably can, we can probably hire them or something. But until then, we as Black people have to build up our own economic system. We have to develop into community. And basically, we have to get this black woman back under control. And that's what we have to do as black men. Okay. But first, we have to deal with the disloyalty. Okay. But we have to go after the real beast, and that's these white folks. Okay. Okay. And so when you start getting respect, the black woman will automatically fall in line. Okay. Now she's out here loud and obnoxious because you black men are not putting your foot down on these black women. You understand? And that's exactly what you have to do, especially under the system of white supremacy. Okay? But join me next Wednesday as we keep on talking this black power stuff. You've been listening to the Lawyers and Podcast Show. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe.